Hello aspirants, welcome to LaEx Learnings. Switzerland said that it will suspend the most favored nation status to India from January 1, 2025. So in this context, we will discuss what is most favored nation. So let us begin. Most favored nation is a principle, one of the principle under WTO. WTO established some of the principles called national treatment. National treatment means a country should treat its domestic goods and foreign goods equally. This is called national treatment. Second principle is predictability. Predictability says that a country should have a open policy, trade policy, means stable trade policy. And other one is fair trade. Fair trade, nothing but you trade fairly with other countries, means reducing the reducing the trade barriers as possible as much. In the fourth one is fair competition. Fair competition. Fair competition says that you should not impose or you should not dump the goods, means you should not given subsidies to the exporting goods, says fair competition. And finally we have most favored nation. Most favored nation. But what is most favored nation? Most favored nation, it's a reversing concept, means it goes against the meaning of the most favored nation. We simply assume that most favored nation means we are giving some special treatment to the country, but here most favored nation is nothing but non-discrimination. You should not discriminate the WTO partners, WTO members. This is the called most favored nations. Mean you are giving the special treatment to everyone. For example, if India given lower tariff, means concession in tariffs to USA goods, right? Because India is a strategic partner of USA. But India should not discriminate with the China. Means by saying India have a very conflicting situation China, so I will not give the tariff concession to China, because it goes against the concept of most favored nations. Since India is giving tariff concession to USA, it should extend those tariff concession to all WTO members. But so we can avoid the most favored nations? Yes. We can avoid the most favored nation status? Yes. There are some exceptions. In such cases, there are some exceptions. In such cases, we can avoid the most favored nation status. One such is preferential trade agreements. Trade agreements. What are the preferential trade agreements? Means these are given to some countries. Even bilateral relationships are in a group of countries. For example, we have a free trade agreements, right? Free trade agreements can be between the country or between the countries. For example, India have a free trade agreement with UAE, right? So this free trade agreement is an exception under the most favored nation. And also some customs union, right? This is also of exception. For example, common market. Common market, for example, European Union is a common market. This is also exception under the most favored nation. And also there is a concept called generalized system of preferences, GSP. Generalized system of preferences, where developed countries give tariff concession to developing and other least developed countries. For example, USA gives tariff concession to other developing countries like India. Means if India exporting some of the goods to USA market, it faces low tariffs compared to other countries. This is called generalized system preferences, where developed countries are giving low tariffs, or means imposing low tariffs to developing and other least developed countries. And third exception is anti-dumping duties. Anti-dumping duties or countervailing duties. What is this anti-dumping and countervailing duties? Anti-dumping simply we impose a tariff on dumping products, means the products which are very less price compared to domestic markets. For example, the products coming from China to India, these products are very low priced compared to domestic products. These products face a anti-dumping tariff. In what is countervailing duties? Countervailing duties are nothing but we impose a tariff on the products which are given subsidy in their own countries. For example, some of the products given subsidies in China, because of these subsidies, these are priced very low compared to our products. So hence these products are harming the domestic market, since we are imposing countervailing duties on these products. So this is the called anti-dumping and countervailing measures. These measures also is an exception under the most favored nation. But a country can revoke the most favored nations to any state and any country. Yes, any country can revoke the most favored nation status to any country. For example, in 2019, India revoked the most favored nations to Pakistan because of cross-border terrorism. But recently, Switzerland also said that it will suspend the most favored nations to India from January 1, 2025. January 1, 2025. Why? Because 2023 Supreme Court ruling. 2023 Supreme Court ruling. So, basically, Switzerland and India have a double taxation avoidance agreement. Under this agreement, Switzerland extended most favored nations to India. But recently, Supreme Court under Nestle case said that most favored nation status doesn't come into picture automatically. It said that India should notify the most favored nation status under Income Tax Act of 1961. Since India didn't notify most favored nation under Income Tax Act to the Swiss under the WTO, under the double taxation avoidance agreement. Because of this, Switzerland said that there is no reciprocity from India with respect to double taxation avoidance agreement. India should have notified the most favored nation status under Income Tax Act of 1961, but India didn't do so. Because of this, Switzerland said that it will suspend the most favored nation status to India from January 1, 2025. Hope you understood it. But what will be the impacts? The suspension of most favored nations to India. First one, the tax liability of the Indian companies in Switzerland will be increased. Tax liability. Presently, Indian companies who are operating in Switzerland facing 5% of tax on dividends. So if the suspension came into place, the dividends tax will be increased to 10%. It will be very huge for the Indian companies to pay the tax. At the same time, Swiss companies are also operating in India. Presently, under double taxation avoidance agreement, these companies are taxed. If the most favored nation status suspension goes, the tax liability of these companies also be increased. Hence, the investment coming from Switzerland to India will also be hit. This is the second. But what is the third impact? The other countries like USA, other European Union countries like China, these countries will also start to reevaluate the most favored nation status with respect to India. So this will be a situation where Indian most favored nation status will be in a grave danger. Hope you understand the most favored nation concept in detail. So thanks for watching the video. Stay tuned for more videos.